Remember that $1.97 a pound steak that we bought? I'm getting ready to make Chipotle Beef Chili with it.
This is our journey. Welcome to the Betancourt's homestead.
We are working out of the all-new Ball Canning Cookbook and Canning and Preserving book. I've got my meat already chopped up. I've got the skillet heating up so that we can brown the meat. I've got my onions and my bell peppers all chopped up. And I've got tomatoes picked from the garden that we're going to be using. Got my jars in the oven warming up. Got my canner getting ready to be put on the stove. Let's get her going. First, we're browning the meat. I kind of altered the recipe a little bit because I didn't soak the beans. So I put the beans in the Instant Pot, partially cooking them. You know that saying, go big or go home? Yeah, Chipotle chilies. Let's put it all in. You gotta see what it looks like. Come with me. There you go. That is Chipotle Beef Chili. Let's put it in jars. 1-inch headspace. Let me show you what it looks like. That is the chili. It looks just amazing, and it's gotten thick. I got them all, the rims all clean, debubbled. Now I'm going to cap them and stick them in the canner for 90 minutes to process. That just feels so accomplished. So I opened a whole entire container of Chipotle peppers, and I only needed 2/3 of a cup. What for the life of me am I going to do with the rest of this? Oh, let me show you how I store it now, because I'll use it, but I won't use it that quickly. So we're going to take a Ziploc bag, a quart size. We're going to label it Chipotle peppers. Now we're going to take it and dump it in the container, in here. Wow. It's so scientific. Ziploc it up. Lay it flat, and we're gonna freeze it. And when we need some, we're gonna chisel it off. That's it. That's it. It is laying nice and flat inside that freezer. The bigger containers were cheaper, and I bought a case. I'm not even gonna tell you how old those things are. They're still perfectly good. I'm literally reprocessing 4 out of 7 of those Chipotle chilies that I did, because I thought I was smart. You know, I was watching a video and she's talking about how she just tightens them really loose and I'm like, interesting. She's also talking about how she had so many failures, but they were the new canning lids, and I'm thinking, well, I'm using the old canning lids or new canning lids too. So, but if that's how we're supposed to tighten them, I'll tighten them finger tight. So I did it exactly the way she had done it. And yeah, that's the only thing I did differently. The only thing I did differently. And I'm looking at 3 of them that sealed, which were probably the 3 that I went through thinking, oh, you're a little too loose. I'll tighten you a little bit more. And now I'm going to go back to the regular way that I had been tightening them for the last 13 years. Lesson learned. Lesson learned. I just thought I would come on and tell you. Because just because somebody is saying that that's how they do it and that works for them, if you're doing something that works for you, sweetie, keep doing it. But let's use this as an opportunity to teach. So how am I reprocessing them? I emptied all of the jars. I'll wash these really good. And I got all new jars. I have those jars being warmed. I have my water bath canner set up, and I am reheating for 10 minutes on a low boil, bringing it back up to boil and letting it simmer for 10 minutes. And then I'm going to repackage everything, wipe the rims, cap the lids with new lids, and go from there and reprocess it for the 90 minutes all over again. It's evening on the homestead, and the processing has been completed, and this is what we have. Those 4 quarts turned into 3 quarts with 1 pint, because when you reheat, you lose some. And I had perfect headspace, but I had 1.5 inches too low of headspace to do a complete quart. So far, they all look like they've sealed. Whew. I don't know why I took somebody else's advice when something was working for me so well. Like, why fix what's not broken, right? But good news is tomorrow I have to go into town for a car appointment, and my husband has some chili that he can, green jar, right? Makes it look weird, that he can eat while I'm gone. But just so that you know, look at that. Doesn't that just look, it's just chocked full of steak, right? And a little bit of beans. Yum. Have a great night, you guys. Now you know what I know. Don't forget to label. Okay, it is that time. We are going to do a price comparison or cost comparison of this soup compared to, we're just gonna talk about how much it costs while we clean the jars. First, we take off the rings, we check for sealage, and we go from there. Remember, I had 2 batches because the first batch, half of them didn't can. You also see I had major siphoning in there, and that siphoning was because I didn't have the seals properly. I am using ball and cur lids, basically the same lids, and they work for me. But I also tighten them a specific way. They just work for me. I only usually have about 5% seal failage, maybe even if that. I also worked with Ball. When Ball changed their lids, I had a lot of failures too. And I actually contacted them and we talked through it and I shared my experience. And you know what they told me? You're the only one that's told us you had failures. You know my reply? That's a bunch of baloney because I happen to know a lot of other people contacted you and was complaining. And I've seen your website, your Facebook page. But they proceeded to tell me it was because I was stacking them. I'm like, I don't stack them. They sent me some coupons, tried to be nice, and it just didn't work. So let's get down. I finally figured out that the instructions of what they're telling you to do with the lids were wrong. That you need to put them in a slow simmering little pot of water like you used to do. Only keep the temperature on low to keep the rubber warm. And you need to tighten the lids down, not super tight so they buckle, but tight so that they stay. That's how I did it. So I got 7 meals out of this and a total of $21.26. That is a lot for meals. It's all just steak and beans and tomatoes. Each one comes to $3.03, and this one is a single meal, but my husband already ate the other partial for a meal. So, and each one of these feeds two people, a big bowl of soup. So I'm really happy with that, and he is really happy with it because this is one of our favorite. Remember, this is the steak that I bought for $1.97 a pound. Ironically, right after I told you meat would be really cheap, it got really, really cheap here. So that's what we've got. $3.03 for this. You cannot even buy that in a store. No. So this batch cost me $21.26 to make. Comparables would be $46.06 if I bought it in the stores, and my savings is $24.80, and I know everything that's in here.